Hey my loves, welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us again. Come on through. We are speaking all things Married at First Sight, season 13, episode 13. And we are back and we are together. I'm Zar. This is my beautiful husband, Joe. If you are new to this channel, make sure you bust down, subscribe. We like to talk all things relationship and shows and everything like that. And I guess we can jump right on into this one. So let's start this one from, I guess, who we're least worried about.
Okay.
To who we're most worried about. Okay?
I'm least worried about Mirla and Gil.
I'm least worried about Mirla and Gil. This episode was my favorite episode with Mirla because I felt like she was just absolutely, I loved seeing her uninhibited.
Yeah.
Open, talking.
She was lit.
She was lit. But sometimes you got to get that way to say what you need to say. And
But also, I love seeing her lit because, like I said in last week, like, earlier in the seasons, they tried really hard to get us to go along with the storyline of Mirla, that she was just this uptight, bougie, pearl clutching, like Debbie Downer, who never wanted to have any fun and was too expensive. And I said then, like, this is just not, it can't be all of her, especially with Gil being so transparent and upfront. Gil don't hold his tongue about nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that can't be it. Like, you know, and I think we are now getting to see more sides of her, the fun side, the drunk side. We seeing more side, the intimate side. We see when the cameras aren't there, she kissing her man in the mouth.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to see it, because there's more sides to people than the whatever hours of footage that this show collects and then edits down to show us every week. So I think that it was dope to see her like that.
I think it was dope to see her like that. I think it was nice to see her vulnerable and crying with Dr. Pepper. And I also thought it was kind of cool how Dr. Pepper kind of checked her on, like, not always being that person who is
a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, and that's how Gil described it as well. She can be a little bit Debbie Downer-esque. And she does give that vibe, which I think in the beginning was kind of like, even while I was like, but everybody is not on all the time. You know what I mean? Everybody don't like all things at all times, right? And there should be a space for her to be like, I don't like that, or I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But within reason, especially when you're dealing with somebody else. And I think that it was nice to see her wanting to be better because she knows how good he is to her.
Right.
Which I'm surprised, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but I'm surprised. I am, like, legit surprised to see her being so open and that she even really likes Gil, to be honest. Not that Gil's not somebody that could be liked. I mean,
well, because they tried to convince you that she didn't like Gil and Gil didn't like her.
You're right. And I think it's that big.
That just wasn't so. Like, Gil is definitely into her. She's definitely into him. And the more that they show these different sides of them both, and them getting to interact by themselves, which I think is a major key. The more you get to see how that whole character that they tried to place on her in the beginning was false.
I agree. And I just like that she came in after 25-cent martinis. Which, we gotta
find this venue,
Mirla,
this restaurant, where they selling these
Mirla.
Because next time I'm in Houston, I'm going straight to the spot where they selling the 25-cent martinis. 1,000%.
What kind of vodka was in those martinis?
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
First
of all, we all get to a certain age where you can't do certain things.
It's
like,
all about
is it Stoli? Is it Smirnoff?
It's just about the, like, if you're gonna give me 25-cent martinis, you can give me the scrubbing vodka from the bottom shelf. That's from
you would drink that
for 25 cents? Yes.
Yes,
I would.
You are too
1,000%.
old. You are too old. I won't even. Don't even get me started on him.
It's how you value it. How do you value it?
McDuck.
Like, if I'm gonna pay $50 for it, it needs to be top shelf. If I'm gonna pay 25 cents, it can be bottom shelf. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, if
It's
you're
all about the value.
going to pay 25 cents, yes.
That's
but
what I'm
you
saying.
don't. You know what? I can't. I'm not.
I think it's a great value.
But it is beautiful to see how invested she is, and I think that's really dope. And I really don't have much to say about them. Gil had his conversation with Pastor Kyle, where he was worried sometimes about how she can be a Debbie Downer. And he came to the lunch with Mirla, a drunk woman, wanting to have a serious conversation.
He sure did.
And that to me was like...
That can never happen.
I've been the drunk woman, like, wait, I can't do this right now. Like,
but I'm gonna give her credit.
She was trying.
She pulled through. She was trying. She pulled through. She was able to gather some of her words way better than Jalen Rose was on last.
Did y'all see Jalen? Oh my God,
she did pretty good. So I'm gonna give it to her.
Yo, I'm gonna keep. That made me so uncomfortable. I had real life secondhand embarrassment.
But the thing. But here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say about Mirla's drunk moment, right? Shannon Sharp, Uncle Shannon, if y'all don't know who he is, he's a national treasure and a sports commentator on Fox. But he says he always got a lot of sayings from his mama and his grandmama and his granddaddy. But one of the ones that he says that I treasure is drunks, angries, and kids will tell you the truth. They will tell you the truth. Drunks, angries, and kids, right? And you could see how she was lighting up around him. Yeah. When she walked in the room, she couldn't stop cheesing. A drunk will tell you how they feel. Yeah. A drunk will tell you how they feel. An angry person will tell you how they feel. And a kid will tell you how those are facts of life. And you could tell the minute she got intoxicated, she was crying about him in the thing with Dr. Pepper. She walked in, she was super giddy. Yeah. Cheesing all on her face. She pointing at him. She doing this weird pointing thing. She walked in and did this. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? But that's how you could just tell she's into him. Yeah. She likes him a lot. She likes him a lot. And I thought that it was great to see her intoxicated because we saw the true self, the true person come out when you drunk. As an adult, you know. Believe it. It's true. If you are an angry, nasty person when you drunk, you are an angry, nasty person. If you're a lovable person when you drunk, you kissing everybody in the face because you're super that's just what happened.
What kind of drunk am I? I don't really get drunk.
You're a fun drunk, but because you're a fun person. I mean, it's consistent. Think about it. Think about my brother Lynn. If anybody know my brother Lynn,
he's the best drunk.
But what is he as a drunk person?
Honest.
Super lovable, super what? Emotional.
Oh, and that's who he is.
That's just who. So when you get drunk, you just kind of become more of who you are.
That's true.
And we just saw what Miller. Because I'm a good person. Like when I'm sober, I am. Like,
I would argue. That's arguable, and you can't call yourself a good person. That's something somebody else has to call you.
Most people,
and I haven't done that
yet. That's not true. She married me. Yet. She said it. She's already.
I'm an evil villain. Can't y'all tell? Look at the aesthetic.
No, she's a fake villain. When she's drunk, guess what? She's not a villain. She's the funnest person in the room. She a fraud villain. So
the point is that Mirla came all the way through, and I was kind of feeling it. And I don't want her to be like this drunk all the time. We don't want another. Don't want another Virginia on our hands.
Wow,
but I do like to see her in these moments. I feel like she showed up 100%. But you want to hear something funny? Why did she say that she thought it was going to be boring? Because
she honestly did, and
that's weird to me.
Because that's telling. No, we are filming. That's telling because. That's real insight, drunk, honest, and children. That's insight on how these sessions normally go with them.
Yes.
So that told me that her expectation was these are normally like very uneventful things, and what we getting are the snippets of drama that they put out that make the cut. But that was telling to me, like where she was just like, I thought it was going to be boring, because to me that said I thought it was going to be boring again, like our last session.
What it is. But I'm excited for them and excited to see where they go. Another couple that I am happy that they worked through what they needed to work through, and also happy to see them sit down with the experts, is Jose and Rachel. They didn't have a huge moment this episode, but I thought it was really important for Dr. Pepper to check the out of Jose. You're little, you're tired, you're mean, and you're controlling. And basically that's what she said. She had a real Iyanla moment.
She didn't say the little.
You're a hoe. Right. Just say that you're a hoe.
He did need that sit down with I was about to say with Iyanla. He did need that sit down with Dr. Pepper. And they just had an uneventful, but that's good. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Because I kind of felt like Miller and Gil had an uneventful episode
that's
too.
Good.
But that
if you
is
got an
good.
uneventful relationship, you in a good place.
That's a fact, man.
I mean.
And you're going to argue. And we saw Jose and Rachel argue, and I thought it was really good that Dr. Pepper kind of put it out there. Like, I do think you could be a little bit controlling because you have all the answers in your mind. But you got to understand that people come to when they do. Yeah. Whenever they feel like doing it, however, whatever motivates them or inspires them to come to in a moment, they do that, right? And you can't control that. And I thought it was really good that she kind of checked him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he needed it.
For sure.
But I also thought, Rachel, I'm tired of you coming into moments and saying like, oh, he's everything. You gave me everything I wanted. Because I think it does herself a disservice when she comes into these sessions projecting perfection.
Yep. And there's no maturation process and stuff like that, right? So the part about Gil and Mila that we really like, and I think that people are gravitating towards, is the process, right? It's the reason why you watch these
shows like this.
But not only that, it's the reason why you watch some of these reality shows, right, where like American Idol and The Voice, right? And they record labels now, we getting a little off path, but I'm gonna get to the point. Record labels now are taking artists that are already signed and putting them on those shows, right? So the audience doesn't know that these people aren't already signed, but everybody behind the scenes does. They do that because they know that people, the mass population connects to the process. So if people feel like they found you, if people feel like they were a part of your process, they are more so drawn to you. It creates more of a grassroots movement behind.
But didn't it used to be A&R?
That's a whole nother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But these platforms have made it easier for people to create this grassroots movement because people feel more connected when they feel like they found you themselves. Yeah. Because they're part of the process, right? So when you watch Mila and Gil, you're drawn to them because you're a part of their process, right?
100%.
She was reserved. And now when you watch them around other people, it's not super overt. They're always touching.
Always.
Right? So that was the process. There's no process where everything was perfect and rosy from the beginning, and now everything is still, and it's just, everybody knows that that's not true. There's a process. Anything
we know that's not true because he kicked your ass out and locked the guy in.
And we saw it. But not only that.
And then proceeded to curse you the fuck.
But not only that, there's a process in everything worth having in life. There's a process with getting, right? Nobody just gives you a house. Nobody just gives you a car. Nobody just gives you an amazing career or job. There's a process, and you appreciate it because you went through a process. And Jose and Rachel are the opposite. Everything they just keep trying to make us believe he's perfect, he's everything, and he's not. And that's okay.
But that's wow. And I think that's okay. I just think that their incessant need to be perfect on television is fascinating to me.
And it's annoying.
It's a little fascinating. I'm kind of like, about it. But let's move on because that's all they gave and they ain't get no. But did y'all see the black women in the background? My favorite part of the entire episode, Joe.
They was telling the story.
The moment they was like, I was sitting there
people didn't go back and watch. People didn't catch that. I would guarantee that a lot of people didn't.
Did y'all see them in a Rachel and Jose sit down and talk about what the experts spoke about? And I honestly, and this might sound really bad, have no idea what happened in that scene. Except for the black women were telling the story.
Shit, somebody behind
the black woman. I'm out here
trying
to read lips and everything. Like, y'all need closed caption on them because they is doing it.
They was having a good time.
The best time, and I wanted to be a part of it. So shout out to them. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, whoever y'all was.
Whoever y'all was. So let's talk. Who's next, you think, to talk about? We have Johnny and Bao, Zach and Michaela.
Well, you said you want to go from least worried to most worried. So in that case, then I guess we go to Brett and Ryan.
Okay. I could dig that.
Brett and,
I feel like we should just sit in silence because that's all they provided. The biggest... Go ahead, what were you going to say?
They just don't really give much. They're at a dead end. And I think that...
it's sad to watch.
It's sad to watch because Brett is honestly here for the process, and she's also here for him. I think Brett likes him.
I do too.
And I think Brett is into him. And if she had somebody who was an equal participant in a relationship on the other half, I think that their relationship would flourish a lot more than it has. I think Ryan is checked out and he's trying to save face on camera. He doesn't want to say things that makes him look like the villain. He doesn't want to say anything that's actually true to how he feels towards her. And he's just kind of stringing her along until they get to decision day and he can finally say,
I agree. And I think that first of all, two things. Let's go back to Johnny, and I kind of wanted to wait until later, but Johnny and Ryan, the show opens up with Johnny and Ryan playing pool. Probably the two worst people to put in a scene together, because all they're going to do is have a race to the bottom. You're not worse than mine. Mine's is worse than yours. Yeah. And then it even caused Johnny to go back and have an argument with Bob, but we'll get to that. The point I'm trying to make is that I do believe that Ryan is checked out. But to Dr. Pepper's point, I don't think he's tried.
Ryan?
Ryan.
So Ryan, over the grand scheme of things, he hasn't really tried. He's had spots, right? Like one of the spots was he did the card game in the room, and that was like him trying to create some type of intimacy and having a moment with her. Early on, he seems like he was into it, but then he admitted himself that he was just faking. Like he basically was talking to somebody and said, I don't remember who it was, but he said, things were good in the beginning, but I was just like going along to get along type thing. So has he really tried? Not really.
How did you feel about him? So his sister comes and had the conversation with Brett and basically tells Brett, which I thought was fascinating. To her, it seems like his attention may be elsewhere. And on the honeymoon, it may have felt to you that he was in it, and then he got back on, I was going to say stateside, but they ain't go nowhere but Florida. But you know what I mean? He got back to Texas, you know what I mean, where the Republicans reside. And basically was like switched up on her, you know what I mean? And I thought that was really, I think the sister is spot on. I don't think the sister know, but I think the sister know. And I think the sister's trying to tell her, like, girl, I know my brother, he really ain't shit. And if you know what I know, you'll save your own ship. And he is fickle like that because she was like, it feels to me like maybe somebody else, it inspired him to go, maybe he saw somebody else somewhere or something, but it caught his eye and now his attention has been diverted.
So that is a thing, and I think that there is much validity to that. I think there can be multiple. The problem with people who don't tell you what it is, how it is, and like it is that you got to come up with these answers yourself, right? And so I think that there's many ways that we can surmise that this what's going on in the background, right?
Yeah.
I think that is one option. I think the other option could be when people are in paradise, things can appear very differently. On your rear view mirror on your car, it says objects behind you can be closer than they appear.
Yeah.
I think when you are, everybody has experienced, if you travel an island fling, right? You meet the pool boy or the girl at the...
It's a life.
You know what I mean? But in real life, you realize they got to stay on the island. Like when I get back to wherever I'm going, we ain't nothing fitting to happen, right?
And I'm letting y'all know it don't count. So if it happens, you was on vacation and something went down. Let me tell you, baby, it don't count.
That's not your ex. That's not your ex. You know what I mean? And so I think that it's tricky because people are different in those spaces, right? Y'all not going to work. That's not real life. Mm-hmm. There is no settling into each other's lives and everything like that, and understanding how people live. And it's almost like a fake date. You know what I mean? And so I think that there's something to that where maybe they were in paradise and they was doing a honeymoon thing, and then they got back to real life and shit got real and it went south. Mm-hmm. And he just started being who he actually is. You know what I mean? So maybe so.
So I do think that, but I also think, and y'all go with me here, I'm about to go on a journey. I think that had Brett slept with Ryan on the honeymoon, they would be in a different space. And I think that because some people, there's a population of people who can only invest emotionally after they've invested physically. Like they can't even see it because they haven't conquered you. Their ability to be emotionally available to you in any way, shape, form, or fashion is not something that they're able to provide you with. And I think that might be the case because he wasn't faking liking her that hard. They look really like, after she got on his nerves at the airport, everything like that, it didn't give. If you was faking like that, you're a sociopath. Faking that hard.
I think it might, going back to the vacation thing, right? It's possible that you're not faking. You in the moment. You're in the moment, like.
But that's what I'm saying.
You on vacation. You drinking every day.
But that's not fake. That's what he said was he was faking it. I'm saying that's not fake, to be in the moment, to be in a space. That's not fake feelings. That's not fake emotions. That's not fake action.
So are you saying that that he could possibly be into her?
I think that some people, he obviously has a history of dating a lot of women, right? We could see that. He already said if he was really around somebody he thought was super attractive, he wouldn't give a damn what she was like. He would just be into it, right? So he really, let's not pretend like he's the deepest of human beings. We already know who he is, okay? So he's physically stimulated first, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, if I have the idea that if she had slept with him, which I'm glad she didn't, but had she slept with him, he would probably be further along. Because some people, that's how they assign whether or not they can invest in you.
Okay, that's another option though. That's the problem with him.
That's another option.
That's the problem. Like
because here we are speculating.
We just speculate.
But we can't speculate.
We can't speculate, and it's your fault if you're Ryan as to why we can speculate, because you didn't say what it is. You didn't say what it was. You're a weirdo for that. So you out here, Kyrie Irving in this whole thing, talking about how you don't like that people are speculating, but you don't say anything to clear the air.
And that's what Dr. Pepper basically told him. You can't be out here not trying, not doing anything, and not saying anything, and then want people to read your goddamn mind. Yeah. Nobody's Miss Cleo on here.
Right.
We didn't sign these people up because that's what they can do. They clairvoyant or whatever. Like, you got to be really like, something about him is so douchey. That's probably why I like him. It's so sad. I just hate, you know what it is? You're going to think this is so messed up. Y'all, I am like a man eater. Okay? Like, if you ask anybody who's ever dated me, they would hate me. And then they would ask if I'm single. Because I am literally one of those people, like, I suck all the air out of a human being. A man, not a human being. Women love me. And then I'm like, I leave them for dead. And then, and it's always men like that. Never really nice men. Always men who have dogged out women. Maybe that's why he's
still single. Maybe Ryan has had the experience of dating women, and he's just hopped around, and he's felt like he's been pulled in and spit out. And
no, that's not why he is dissatisfied. Some people are gluttons. That's what Ryan is. He literally said they described him as somebody who is constantly dating. He needs to be in a romantic phase.
I think he has an issue with commitment.
He's constantly dating. So therefore, it's not even about somebody. He probably don't even get to the stage where somebody could suck him in and do all that to him.
He probably doesn't.
You know what I mean? And maybe that's because he had an experience like that previously. But I doubt
more
it.
Speculate. We don't know. That's
but
what
I doubt it. We're speculating. But that's what we're here for. We're here to speculate.
And you leave it up to interpretation when you don't say what you mean and mean what you say.
But the other thing I didn't like was that Brett had the opportunity to tell him what they spoke about in the, like, when did he check out? And she didn't and she never asked that question. And he asked her, what did you and the expert talk about? And she had the opportunity to say, like,
that's what confused me. I'm trying to figure out why she did that.
I don't know. She's a weird. I mean, she's not a weirdo, Brett. I actually really love you. I just think in that moment that was weird.
It was weird, and I'm really not clear on why she did that. Like, I'm more. We just have to speculate, like, again, because she didn't really touch on it, and it seemed like she was just too nervous. But I don't know why, because we've seen her in times where she was just telling Ryan, like, tell me what it is. Like, if you're, she was kind of upfront about her feelings, and she would say, if you don't like me, then tell me you don't like me. If you want me to do this, then tell me. But I can't do these things if I don't know what it is that I need to do to help our relationship move along. And then when she got there, she had a prime moment to just actually say what it was and to ask the questions that Dr. Pepper told her to ask, and then she totally just backpedaled on it, and I don't really understand why. Like, are you just to the point where you just want to get along to go along until you get to the end of the whatever weeks till you get the decision day and you just say, okay, now I'm leaving? Like, what was the point of that?
I don't know. And I think a lot of it is that it's a learned behavior. She has been in this position before with men, and
just sat on her hands and didn't say anything.
And I think that is part of it. I think she kind of watches, as opposed to being a active participant. I think sometimes she takes the back seat, waiting for somebody to be her knight in shining armor. And unfortunately, sometimes you got to save yourself, child. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to be honest and straight up and demand that, as opposed to, constantly waiting for somebody to give you the answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where she's kind of sitting. So let's talk. Do you want to do Zach and Michaela or Johnny and Bao? They both neck and neck for the worst.
No, they're not. Johnny and Bao is definitely in first place for worst.
Okay, so let's talk about Zach and Michaela. This one was really hard for me to watch because every time I feel like Zach and Michaela is taking a step forward, Michaela does something to push them all the way back for me.
That is 1,000%.
And I'm getting annoyed because it's not that I don't see that as Zach. I can see how Zach has done things that made her uncomfortable and insecure in how he handled things. I can see that. However, I think to the best of his ability in this current moment, after you abuse Clorox wipes, he's finding a way to try and show up the best way he knows how. And I feel like she's punishing him at every turn. If he doesn't say something she likes, she'll completely check out. Oh, well, I don't like it either. It's like a race. It's literally a race to the bottom. It is literally a race to the bottom. Anything you could do, I could do better. You want to sleep in another bedroom? You want to sleep outside the house? I'll leave the house. Yeah. Are you retarded?
What I don't like about...
Sorry, y'all. I know that could be offensive to somebody.
What I don't like about what a lot of things Michaela does is it just feels super immature, and it feels like everything is retaliation, right? It feels like there isn't a place for anybody to have real conversation, share real feelings, have real discourse, and then have a real resolution, right? Because if Zach says something that she feels, it couldn't even be about her. If he just says something that's going on with him, she'll immediately internalize it and be like, okay, well, I'm closed off now. And he's like, wait, what? Like, you know what I mean? So how can you progress if he can't say anything to you without you retaliating? Literally retaliate. If you guys were at work, you would be in violation of HR codes, because if somebody makes a complaint about something, you literally would go back and dock their pay, and it would be like, why? Like, how are you able to do this?
It was so many red flags to me. Like, she had a very good question with Pastor Kyle where she asked, I wonder what is the picture of marriage that he has that is so important to him. And then she went on to say, wait a minute, I think I wrote it down. She thinks that it's a lot of responsibility to be responsible for another adult's happiness. And it just had to be the stupidest shit I had ever heard.
And Pastor Kyle told her that.
In my life. And it's like, the issue I be having, you know what? I got like a real good therapist. I would say his name, but I don't need him going up on my rates. But when I mean, he would really stop a conversation and be like, you know how silly that sounds? Let's go back. Like, I'm not going to let you move forward on that. You know what I mean? And I feel like She needs a little bit more tough love, because what's very clear to me
She
is
needs
that
a lot of bit more.
Nobody holds her accountable.
Nobody. And has never held her accountable.
Ever. And I don't give a damn what Dr. Viviana said on Unfiltered. She ain't always got it either. Because my thing is, okay, yeah, maybe he was putting on when he said, you know, I'm here to try, or whatever the case may be. Maybe he was putting on. And
how do we know that, though? That's what I don't understand.
But sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it. What people don't understand is, you can have knockout, drag out fights. Me and Joe had an argument one time, and it was so bad that I didn't even know how we would come back from it. The following day was his sister's birthday, and she was having a party. We literally had to decide, we're not doing this today. And despite how he may have still had his feelings and I may have still had mine, we had to fake it. And guess what? We got through it, moved on, got made, all these things that happen post that. And it's like, sometimes the art of faking it in a moment, that's a real thing.
But it's
not in a bad way.
But it's
though.
not even faking it, right? Like it's to the point of, like, when people say things like, I chose to love you, right? That means you're not really in love in the moment, but you are being proactive and being a conduit for love to come. Right? So you cannot do these things that you aspire to without putting yourself in position to do them, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the issue that I had with this, it was kind of like a Zach bashing session on Unfiltered, if you guys didn't see it. But it was kind of a Zach bashing fest where Michaela just felt, Zach said, they played the thing where Zach said, you know, I'll do what I need to do to make this work. I'm here. I want to see this through. Michaela said that was fake. Dr. Viviana said, I felt like it was fake too. And it was like, okay, so what is he supposed to say? Like, what is he, because he's clearly there. So actions, and we talking about actions and words, right? Right. So he's there. And that's more than we can say for Michaela, who tried to excuse her way out of not meeting with the brothers. She blamed it on her sisters, the Herculean sisters.
Can you believe it?
She blamed it on everybody else, and then said that Zach was again being fake. So it was a lot of like backpedaling and shade throwing. And for Zach to say, to me, his actions have lined up. You did things that scared him off. He came back. You did it again, right? You did multiple things after that. You had multiple instances where he was like, this is
where your petty outweighs everything else.
That part. Then he comes to the table. He's transparent about his shortcomings and said, this is a shortcoming of mine. I have this thing where things need to be perfect for me, and I need to work on that. And then he shows up the next day to say, okay, we're going to do whatever else they need to do. They were meeting with each other's siblings or something like that. You cancel on that, right? How can it constantly be that Zach is fake and Zach is phony and all of this other stuff when his physical is showing up and then his words are like, okay, I'm trying to do this, and then you are cutting him off at the knee?
Explain that. Explain. Oh, well, he only called me afterwards. Child, I cannot. My thing is, like, first of all, y'all have call times. You absolutely knew what was going to happen during that scene. This is not Love and Hip Hop. They not calling you to ambush you in a moment. That's not what's happening. Stop it. You can tell that live. We live in LA, boo. We know all the people on all the shows doing all the things.
Yeah.
We already know. You had a call time. You knew exactly what was going to be filmed in that scene.
Thanks.
You did not want to show up. You pulled the same thing
that you pulled
did
before. This is a pattern.
But then Dr. Viviana sitting right next to you and don't check you on that.
And she co-signed it. And it's because they was in that intimate space where, because Dr. Viviana co-signed everything everybody said. So that was weak to me. But that's why I don't really fuck with Dr. Viviana. That's why. Because I said this last season, she doesn't call people out when they're supposed to be called out on their BS. And to me, really, only Pastor Kyle has done that consistently. Because Dr. Viviana sat there and let Michaela throw out all of this BS about how it's Zach is being fake, and no accountability for her at all.
None. Saying, you know what, I was wrong for that. Oh, I had a panic attack. I wasn't able to show. My sister saw me, and I had a panic attack, and she was the one who said I couldn't come. You are a fully grown.
She literally blamed it on him. He knows I'm triggered. he did this and it triggered me, and then that's why I couldn't like come on, bro.
But what was her excuse for not sleeping in the bed? So
that was more of it was his fault. Like I get triggered, so I said that we need to sleep in separate rooms. He didn't want to,
which he was right to say. How is that going to make anything of what either one of us
that was
is
another
feeling
temper
better?
tantrum that she was having.
It was it was an absolute temper tantrum, and y'all need to see these red flags bright and clear. I hope he let that bitch high and dry. I've never wanted a black woman to be publicly embarrassed so much in my life. And it's primarily because it's not even that he's that great of a person, right? It's more so that some people don't know when they've won. And I think that she hasn't showed up as her best self. And Dr. Viviana said something that I thought was shady to her on Unfiltered. She said, if you show up as the best wife you can be, because we know you haven't, then maybe he'll show up a certain way as well. And I think that was her way trying to like, well, you got some stuff to do too. But she didn't say that. Because my thing is, you can't possibly think that what you've done. Do we even see Michaela? Do Michaela even? I don't know why I'm so triggered about her, y'all.
I mean, they show up to the volleyball thing. She goes off to the side. They go salsa dancing. She off to the side. So when Zach is trying stuff and they doing stuff in group settings, Michaela does whatever she wants to do.
Do y'all think it's a mental health thing?
Michaela does whatever she wants to do. If she doesn't want to show up to film, she doesn't show up. If she doesn't want to meet the brothers, she doesn't meet the brothers. She doesn't want to salsa dance, she doesn't salsa dance. She doesn't want to play volleyball, she doesn't. Like, she does whatever she wants to do and then says, you know what, this is Zach. Everything is everybody else's fault.
Because the way that his brothers reacted, like, this is childish. Like, this is weird. Like,
Period.
You would move out and take the seasoning?
Period. Oh, I just took everything that I paid for.
You're a weirdo.
You're immature, Michaela.
You're a weirdo. And it's like, it's uncomfortable to watch. It's just like, girl.
It is. And the reason why I think this continues to happen is because of what we just said and what we saw in Unfiltered, where there's no accountability. It's just like always somebody else's fault.
None.
And I'm of the right mind to think that this has happened your entire life. There's always been somebody else's fault.
Imagine you working as an adult and your sister calls out for you. Listen to how stupid
on a show
at any job,
major network show.
You could be a doctor, a lawyer, any job, McDonald's, motherfucker. Imagine it.
More accountability though.
But listen to how stupid that sounds. You're a goddamn adult. And you and I listen, don't nobody suffer. I suffer from severe anxiety. And to the point where I've done the Klonopin Zoloft cocktail like the rest of us, okay? The real tea is that when they come, you might feel down for the rest of the day. Don't get me jacked up. But I'll be scrolling on TikTok. Like, I'm cool enough where I can say, okay, I'm feeling this way. I need boom, boom, boom. I'm sorry if I might not be able to do it today. Let them know I'm sorry. You could have did that. You didn't want to. You wanted to make a point to control the narrative, to control the moment, to control his feelings.
You were having a temper tantrum.
And you think that this is going to pull him in. Like, is that what you think? You thought him saying, y'all both saying y'all don't feel close, y'all don't feel this, y'all don't feel that, sleeping in separate beds was the way to get it?
That was retaliation. Because he said in the moment,
and I don't care what
he doesn't really see a future or he's not sure. Her way to retaliate was, that's fine, I'll sleep in another room. It's like, how can you keep any relationship going like that? Where y'all can't talk about anything.
But let me tell you this. I don't give a damn what we go through. I tell this to Joe all the time. You got to come to bed. Because it's something about, first of all, communication is like what? 85-90% nonverbal. So it's something about even in your anger being close to the person you're angry with, that energy dissipates. And throughout the night, you find a way, and they weren't even angry at each other. So that I'm speaking in right. like extra, but it makes it an uncomfortable space for him to say exactly how he feels.
He can't ever say how he feels.
And that to me is weird.
He can't ever say how he feels for fear of retaliation.
It's weird. And I'm tired of the Hercules sisters, and I'm tired of her. I'm tired. Yeah. I almost want him to be matched with somebody else. But can I say one thing before we move on to Johnny and Bow? All you people posting what's going on before it happened, y'all can go to hell. Y'all could go straight to hell. Do y'all know what I had to do? What I had to dodge, boom, 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 to get to the point where I could really get into the actual show? Y'all out here telling us what's going on, who's still together. You can go to hell. You can go to hell. We don't know yet, y'all. We don't know. We don't know. And we want to see it unfold. This is not a Netflix episode, like a Netflix show.
Right.
We can't binge watch it, y'all. We're watching it week to week, and y'all are ruining it.
Right.
Okay. I'm done. Also, one more thing. I'm not a fan of Unfiltered. Because I don't like to see and get an idea of how these people are feeling. Because they're not trained enough to watch that episode and not say or not give away really what's going on.
Yeah, because they ain't their feelings. Yeah. Heavy. They be on Unfiltered. This last episode of Unfiltered was so shady.
It was uncomfortable.
Johnny was throwing shade. Michaela was throwing shade. Even the host girl was throwing shade. Everybody was throwing shade.
She was throwing shade at Michaela ass because she's a weirdo high kid.
She was throwing shade at Johnny too.
Yeah,
at one point, she said to Johnny, "So, you said that you don't like when she isn't a part of stuff, but then she shows up in a cheerleading uniform and you don't like that either. Apparently, you can't be pleased. Like she's throwing shade. Like,
and she was a horrible participant when her season was horrible. Okay,
so like everybody is throwing shade and everybody is in their feelings. And it really showed me, like you said, where they really are in their relationship. Michaela, and Zach are not at all in a good place, and Michaela is in a blame race. Like
with her Rick James wig on.
She needs to stop with the wig.
Bye, girl. Throw it in the trash.
She's in a blame race where she's trying to see how much she can blame on Zach. And Johnny was actually bringing a lot of, like we talked about last week, a lot of insight on what's happening behind the scenes. I
don't like that either.
Where he's like, I don't mind.
I don't like it yet
because
I want to see everything unfold and then give me all this information.
I do like a little context because he made it clear that Bao is putting on for the cameras. Like when we are in front of the cameras, she's doing this and she's one way, and then when we are alone, she's a different person. And so when I'm talking to her in front of the cameras, I'm keeping it 100, keeping it in mind of what just happened when we were alone. And I look crazy because we are all watching and going off of what the clip we last saw. And so he was basically saying like she's a different person when she's on camera. And that adds to why he looks like he's about to explode when he's on camera and she's saying and doing certain stuff, which we commented on.
But I just am like, but let's talk about somebody who I'm just as tired of Johnny as I am goddamn Michaela, and they both can go to hell. Okay. No, wait a minute. No, I don't mean that. They can't go to hell, but I don't mean that. I just feel like Johnny stresses me out. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate Johnny's honesty. But Johnny is mean. And he really hasn't met anybody that will curse him the fuck out. Because I wish a motherfucker would sit up in my face and say some of the things he has said. Oh, child, Lord Jesus. I would just really I just feel like he intentionally is nasty.
Yeah.
Even with the way, also, he is a severe, is it empath the word? And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe not empath, but I'm saying that because maybe it is empath. The way Ryan came down, said he wasn't feeling it after he done went on a few dates with Bao, having a good time, they living it up, whatever the case may be. And now he literally went upstairs, had a conversation with Bao and started an argument.
Oh, Johnny?
Yes.
Yeah. He did. I think every time they have a conversation, Johnny, you can count on Johnny to take it left. That's happened multiple times.
But why do he want to be that guy?
I think he's really done with this process. I think he's done with her. And it seems
she done too, and rightfully so.
She's this episode she was done. We haven't seen her done before, but she came in and was basically like, I'm tired and I'm burnt out. And she has every right to be. I don't know a human being walking the face of earth that would have still been there after all of the things that Johnny has said.
After that motherfucker said,
you can match me with literally.
No, that didn't even bother me.
Anybody.
That didn't even bother me. What bothered me was we had 15 years to date, and I didn't want to date you.
Yeah, that was another one.
Like a mother. Let me tell you something. It is trash, okay?
Yeah.
I done lit him and everything he owned on fire.
Yeah.
Period. Who you think you're talking to? I feel like something about him, and I recognize he's trying to be straight up and honest, and I do, and then he need to be slapped in his mouth. And I don't condone abuse, but I done gave him a 1-2 so much.
I mean, he said some stuff that you've been like, wow.
I would have came out of what they call it when you I'm reformed now, so I would have came out of retirement on that ass, okay? It would have been Holyfield Tyson. Cause I would have been in that bitch whooping his boy. Who you think you is? I just wish you might sit up and tell me that we had all this time to date and I still ain't date you. Like, that's mean. That's just mean-spirited. Like, what would ever drive you to say something like that?
I don't even know that it was necessary.
It wasn't.
I think that he is trying to self-destruct this a little bit.
For sure.
Where he's like, you know what, I'm done with this. Because he's honestly done with it. And those are his true feelings, right? Like, I wasn't into you 10 years ago. I'm not into you now. Like, if this was meant to be, it would have been 10 years ago. Like, that's how he really feels. So part of it is like, I'm just here so I won't get fined. And on my way out, I'm breaking shit. And
literally! It is literally like that. Oh my God. I have another question. Zach said something about it being like love being meant to be, and he doesn't feel like their love is meant to be. And Dr. Pepper said, I don't believe in so much meant to be as much as I believe in the opportunity to grow in love and everything like that. What do you think about, do you believe in like love that's meant to be, or do you think it's like...
Absolutely. Like, this kind of goes back to what we talked about last week with like some people falling in love and some people creating a space for love and then that love flourishing. I think that it's not one way or the other. I think it can happen for people in different ways. There are people who I feel like were meant to be in love. We're meant to exist, right? I feel like we were meant to exist and we were meant to be, right? Because I feel like we did a lot of things to go against this union, right? You know what I mean? And it happened almost like it was like the universe, God, whatever you subscribe to, said, fuck what y'all think. This is what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think some people, that to me, I would describe that as y'all was meant to be. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that some people are meant to be and some people create a space for love to exist and to grow, and it does, and they go with it.
Well, there you go. I don't know that I have anything else. I feel like we kind of touched on everything I wanted to.
We did. We hit everything. So next week is basically they are going to the couples retreat, and it looks like Michaela gonna be acting a fool. So we'll see what happens with that. Of course, it's gonna be Zach's fault. So prepare for that.
Can I say?
We'll see what kind of real conversation that Johnny and Bao has. Because it seems like they about to have like some real talk where Bao is not just gonna be taking punches anymore. Okay,
I want to end this with this. For all the people, anybody who knows me knows I'm a severe advocate for Black women. I love Black women. I love women, period, to be quite honest. Like, I'm a girl's girl for real. But I have to say that Michaela is making it very hard for me.
Thanks.
Y'all don't know how much I'm struggling with this. Like, it's really been really hard to watch. Because one day I'm gonna put out a book about how to catch what you want, be a high value woman. You know what I mean? And I feel like, and y'all won't think this is so mean, Michaela is the reason why black men date white women. I'm done. Okay.
All right, see you guys next
Yeah,
week.
see you guys next
Make sure
week.
you subscribe.